Hi guys, I do not know if I'm looking at the camera. I can never quite work it out, so I will get the hang of this eventually. Anyway, this is just a quick video, just something that bits and pieces you pick up in the news, and if you're paying attention to things that are going on in crypto and in Britain as well. This one's focused a little bit on what's happening in America right now, so it ties in nicely with problems we've got in Britain as well. So just before we go any further, I'm nearly at 50 subscribers now. At 50 subscribers I can start to do lives, which will open things up a lot more and allow you to be able to interact as well easier. So if you haven't already subscribed, please do take a moment to hit the subscribe button and help me get over 50 subscribers, and that will be appreciated. Big thank you to everybody who's subscribed so far. Now, I know from the comments that there are some people who are from the UK, and some that seem to be doing very similar things to what I'm doing, so that is always good to hear. So big shout out to you guys. Also, so what this is about is relating back to a video that I did about stablecoins, and how I was saying in the UK what they're trying to do is basically outlaw having over a certain amount of stable coins, and that's at the behest of the Bank of England. And I said it was just a cheap trick to avoid having to deal with the realities of capitalism. And that is, if you have got competition from somewhere else, what you do is compete. You don't make it illegal to buy from the competitor. But it seems to be something that's going to happen in this country, with limits on how much in stablecoins you can hold. Now, the reason I'm pointing this out is because what will happen if you're selling your alts in alt season, you're going to be better off transferring into stablecoins. That way you can also earn interest on your stablecoin at usually around 4.75, 4.5, or even possibly 5% interest. You can't do that when you put your money back in the bank. You'll get about 1%, and that keeps you below inflation. So that was my main key point about that. Now, what I didn't realise was that in America, part of it, if you heard about the Genius Act, well, I've got another one. I forget off the top of my head the name of the act going through right now. It will have some impact on the markets later this week, although they're talking about shutting down, like they've done before, anyway, fuck all that. What I have to get on with what I'm saying. So anyway, the point is, part of what's happening with the crypto new legislation they're putting in is the banks there are wanting to add an amendment to prevent people stablecoins being able to give citizens interest. Now, if I said it wasn't transparent what the British banks were doing, the Bank of England, already, well, that little nugget of information totally makes it transparent. Absolutely, they are trying to legislate competition, and that is exactly why people need to be in crypto. Not financial advice, of course, and I'm not a financial advisor, but they know exactly why. They're just doing away with competition. You're better off just getting paid every month, converting it to stable coins and getting interest on that, than you are having your money in the bank, because you're always losing out to inflation. And I can't believe I'm quoting, but Eric Trump, in a recent interview with Fox News. Now, politics aside, I'm not listening to that. I can listen to people even if I don't agree with all the politics when they're talking about money and business, because obviously they're at the very top of the food chain when it comes to wealthy elites, and it's worth tracking what wealthy elites do, because if they're saying something's safe and decent, it's a good bet, and this is what Eric Trump was saying about Bitcoin. And another benefit of Bitcoin, which was a good point he brought up, another reason why crypto is the future, is because with crypto, now if you're buying physical gold, which is what the big boys do, the elites, they have physical gold, not just a share of stocks on gold. They then have to sell that gold, and some people who buy gold chains and stuff like that have to have it melted down and stuff, turned into gold, and then they'll sell that physical gold and turn it into cash, or alternatively is used as collateral as well. But with crypto, like that, just like that, you can turn it into liquidity anytime you need to. There's no delays, 24 hours a day, and that is why crypto is leading the way and is the future. And that's why what we're at, and this is part of the reason why I'm in two minds whether ever to sell Ethereum. Definitely not selling Bitcoin, just keep on buying that as you go along. But other cryptos like Solana, why I'm like, maybe that's going to fall into that category of one that you don't really want to be selling. I don't know, which is why I have other alt season plays that are not just Solana, Ethereum, in order for me to be able to cash in on them on alt season. But the value of Solana could be one that follows a similar path to Ethereum. Ethereum's about 5 or 8 years behind Bitcoin, possibly in price, who knows, but it's very much looking like that. So all these things you have to take into consideration. Now, another point I wanted to raise in this video is a bit of news that I have seen, which is to do with anybody in the UK. You see, the UK government don't like getting money from rich people, the wealthiest in society. They don't have to pay as much tax. The elites I'm talking, who can afford to hide their money and do this and that to make sure that it doesn't get taxed. And instead of coming for them, this Labour government, again, I don't want to get political because it's not just about a Labour government. The Tories would have probably started this anyway, but they are coming for people who have had Etsy accounts, eBay accounts, and other selling accounts. So what's going to happen is the majority of them are going to get a round robin letter saying you owe or you have to declare to HMRC all your trading that you've done over the years. Now, most people will not have kept a track of all of that, so they're going to panic and they're going to have to phone rather than, because don't phone straight away is the advice, right? Get your shit in order first, and remember, if it's just shit from your attic that you're selling, that you've accumulated over the years, that is not taxable, right? So remember that. It's really important. If you're in the UK, they're coming for us, the average normal person who really can't afford to be fucking taxed, and the average person that will not understand the finer points of tax. Even some of it I won't understand, so I'm going to have to get help with. But the point is, remember that if you sold something you've bought, if you're not doing it as a business, in other words, you are not buying that product to make a profit. You might have bought it and made a profit on it, that is not the point. But if those items are something you've collected over the years and you've started selling them, that is not a business, that is selling stuff that you've got in your attic. So know the difference, and when HMRC come for you, which they probably will, because it's always us who gets the shit, and there's a lot of money for them to be making from people who don't realise that they don't owe any tax. They just end up. And don't forget as well, every fucking thing you've spent, make sure you can find as many things that you've paid out as well, because that will reduce any tax burden as well, should there be any. Make sure you concentrate as much on what you spent as what you've got. I know it's going to be really fucking hard for people, but this is what we have to put up with. I've told you before, this society, the UK society, does not want you becoming wealthy. It wants you stuck in a dead-end job making money for rich people. That is what this country wants. Or a job that doesn't feel dead-end. Maybe you get to middle management or something like that and you feel fulfilled. But that's what it wants. It doesn't want you becoming wealthy. It doesn't want you comfortable. It never has. It's not the way it works. United States, a little bit different, and that is why this big pushback against the bank's attempts to get this amendment passed to outlaw the ability for stablecoins to offer interest. And I hope the Americans, there's a big petition as well apparently in America about this, and we really should be doing the same here, but they like to fly it under the radar with us, and not many people are necessarily talking about it. But just a heads up for anybody, Taxman is probably coming for you. It is a round robin, so what I mean by that is they're just sending it out to everybody who's got an eBay account, because now they have all that information. They've made it law to make sure eBay and all the other places provide that information. The same's going to happen with your crypto, so now you have to start planning when you get over a certain amount what you're going to do with that crypto. Make sure you keep records. I use CoinMarketCap to keep records as well. It allows me then to quickly be able to well, it helps me track myself as well, so it's important to keep something like that. You know, it might be a bit time consuming to begin with. Put all your transactions into there, and also make sure any costs. I tend to do a lot of trading using Kraken because it's just easier for me. Perhaps there's better ways. I appreciate. I do pay the $5 a month, so I don't get charged on per transaction basis. But just remember to keep a track of everything like that, even if you're new to it. If you're new, it's probably even better because you've got less work to do in the meantime, and it's good housekeeping. Remember, the government want your money, they don't want you getting rich, so you might have to explore creating a company, especially if you're going to be, because £20,000 isn't a lot. Remember that. You could be there in a year's time if you started with a few grand, if this market pumps like it's supposed to do. So then all of a sudden you're going to have the 20% capital gains tax hitting you, and also they're going to limit how many stable coins you can have if that comes in to 20 grand. Now if you have a business, that goes up to 10 million that you can have in stable coins. So bear that in mind. It also has different tax implications if you're a limited company or if you're a sole trader. I'm going to go into more about that over time. It's a little bit complicated to explain some of the differences and the pros and cons, but there is an argument to like setting up a business as a kind of strategic reserve, much like MicroStrategy, companies like that, where that way that is just assets, and you would obviously have to give your company accounts and stuff like that, but it can be done simply, and sometimes it's just worth paying an accountant just to do that. If you're when you start making the money, that makes it worthwhile. Anyway, this was only meant to be a short video. I just wanted to point that out. Do take a moment to hit the like button, because it really helps with the algorithm, and it'll help get me to that 50 subscriber mark sooner rather than later. And thanks to everybody who's subscribed so far, and the people who have been making comments as well. It's appreciated, and I do read them all, and I try and respond as much as possible. And if I miss anything, I do look back over them just to make sure I haven't. So yeah, do leave a comment as well. Let me know what you think. Are you a bit pissed off with the fact that every time you seem to be making headway, the government like to throw curveballs to try and make it as difficult as possible? Have you started noticing it since you've got into crypto as well? Have you started going, yeah, now I'm getting to little bits and little levels, and suddenly it's like, I'm fucking danger of the government fucking me over here. So it happens very fast. So you've got to be prepared in advance. So maybe for some of you guys, if you're fairly new, if you've been doing it over the last year or something like that, if you haven't been preparing, maybe it's time to start preparing. Have a plan what you're going to do to protect your wealth. It's going to be important, and the government now with digital IDs and all that shit looking like it'll be coming in, you are fucking screwed. They're all over you, they know where you are, what you're doing now. You can't just fucking hide away like you used to be able to, and also they might be fucking doing you for the stuff you did hide away years ago, because now they've got access to fucking everything really. What can you do? Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later, guys.